Good morning. Good morning, all. Thank you for being here. My name is Julio Murphy-Zelaya. I serve as the Advocacy Director for the American Civil Liberties Union. As someone from an immigrant family, this is a deeply personal issue that we're here today. And so it is an honor for me to welcome you to the ACLU offices. Proud to be here and standing with partners, elected officials, and folks from the Immigrant Rights Network. So we are a coalition of organizations in the community, leaders who have long been in the front lines of the struggle for immigrant justice in Minnesota. Today you'll hear more about the urgent effort to introduce pro-immigrant resolutions in 3 metro areas and cities. These resolutions are a direct response to a national climate of fear and repression. The Trump administration continues to escalate and to attack immigrant communities, targeting asylum seekers and even U.S. citizens, and now brandishing a new federal mega bill that massively expands ICE's budget while slashing healthcare and basic protections for millions. The ACLU, we spent over 100 years defending civil liberties, due process for all. From the internment camps of Japanese Americans in Korematsu to today's attentions of immigrants in our local jails, we have consistently fought back when government overreaches, when laws are being weaponized to sow fear, and when the Constitution is treated as a suggestion instead of a promise. That work continues today because we know that lasting change comes from we the people, from community organizing to showing up to demanding that our local officials do better, and that we continue that today with these resolutions, sending a clear message that our cities are not going to be complicit with federal policies that separate families and that undermine our federal and fundamental rights. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you to leadership for putting this on. Thank you to the Immigrant Defense Network for putting this on. And thank you to all Minnesotans who know that the promise of justice must include all of us. We're proud to stand with you and we're ready to win. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ryan Perez with COPAL, Minnesota. Established in 2025, the Immigrant Defense Network is an alliance of over 90 immigrant, labor, legal, faith, and community organizations dedicated to protecting and advancing the constitutional rights of immigrant communities across Minnesota. We come together here in a moment when there are escalating immigration raids across the country, ripping apart families. There is also unprecedented new funding for ICE, making it richer than most of the world's militaries, while immigrant health care is being cut at both the state and the federal level. That is why we stand here today and bring forth the following resolution, which I will read. Resolution calling for the Trump administration to end its campaign of mass deportations and family separations. Whereas the Trump administration has called for the largest mass deportation program in U.S. history, seeking to separate 3,000 families per day. Whereas the Trump administration has made multiple references to Eisenhower's racist campaign against immigrants, which resulted in over 1 million deportations, including the deportations of many U.S. citizens. Whereas numerous federal agencies within the Trump administration, including U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, have increased arrests of U.S. citizens, asylum seekers, and other immigrants regardless of immigration status and public safety record. Whereas the Trump administration has invoked the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 and has explored suspending the writ of habeas corpus to deny due process. Whereas the United Nations states that human rights violations against migrants can include a denial of civil and political rights, such as arbitrary detention, torture, or lack of due process. Whereas the rhetoric of mass deportations has driven many families into the shadows, with children afraid to go to school and play, and their parents afraid to go to work, essential medical appointments, and to the grocery store. Whereas the Minnesota Chamber Foundation has concluded that the success of Minnesota's economy, both now and in the future, is intrinsically linked to Minnesota's immigrant communities. And whereas we firmly believe that immigrants built Minnesota, continue to build Minnesota, and show the best of what Minnesota can be. Now therefore be it resolved that we call upon the Trump administration to end its campaign of mass deportations and family separations. Be it further resolved that we stand with immigrant families and will work to further defend immigrant rights. I will now pass to some of our resolutions champions. We have 3 council members with us today. Council Member Jason Chavez from Minneapolis, Council Member Hwa-Jeong Kim from St. Paul, and Council Member Laurel Deneen from Columbia Heights. So I will pass it first to Council Member Chavez. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jason Chavez. I have the honor and privilege of representing Ward 9 on the Minneapolis City Council. I'm also the proud son of Mexican immigrants and represent the 9th Ward, which is home to one of the largest immigrant communities in the entire state of Minnesota. I'm proud of the work that the Immigrant Defense Network is doing. I'm proud to be here with my colleagues from Columbia Heights and St. Paul in collaboration here with the city of Minneapolis and saying that the separation of families must stop, that the deportation campaign under the Trump administration needs to end, and that we need to support our immigrant community, not only in the state of Minnesota, but across the country. As someone who represents a ton of undocumented immigrants, refugees, and even citizens that are being impacted by this Trump administration, who are being told to go back to a country they have not been to in many years, we call this campaign unacceptable, inhumane, and we want it to end. So we know that this resolution is part of the work that we are doing to say that in the city of Minneapolis, in Columbia Heights, in St. Paul, in the state of Minnesota, we welcome our neighbors because our immigrant neighbors are our neighbors. They are our family members, our loved ones. And what we're seeing across the country and what we're seeing in our Minneapolis public schools is that family members are very scared to send their children to our schools. And they oftentimes have to tell their children that you should go to school, ICE is not there. But they tell it to the children knowing that might not be true because they want their children to have an education. They want them to be able to survive because they knew that an education is going to help them persevere, knowing that their life can also be impacted. We have parents that are scared to go to medical appointments. We have people that are very much living in fears, and they're going to continue living in the shadows under this administration. But we also know that this resolution is just one part of it. We need to do more than just a resolution. We will continue to make sure that our separation ordinance is stronger in the state of Minneapolis to make sure that we are not doing the work of the federal government when it comes to immigration enforcement, making sure that we continue to fund programs that are going to keep people and families together. So I just want to mention a little bit about the importance, but I'm very proud to be here with my colleagues in the Immigrant Defense Network, and I'll pass it to Councilmember Kim.
Awesome, thank you. My name is Hwa-Jeong Kim. My pronouns are she, her. I am the Vice President of the St. Paul City Council. I was born in Korea. I'm a naturalized citizen. Immigrants deserve to live a safe and dignified life, free from fear and with the people that we love. Here in St. Paul and across the state, our immigrant neighbors have established a life, expanded their families, their businesses, their communities after decades and decades of living here, like in Little Yukon and like on the west side. Now our neighbors are being denied citizenship for minor mistakes on their records 20 or even 30 years ago, and that places them directly in the sights of ICE. The Trump administration cruelly and intentionally has ballooned the ICE budget. Over the next 4 years, they'll allocate $75 billion of taxpayer dollars. Their plan funds more cages than homes, more detention centers instead of healthcare or public education. They are scapegoating our immigrant families and paying for their cruelty on the backs of working class families like ours. And not to mention, of course, give tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires. As a local leader, it is my job to do everything I can to stop unjust and racist immigration detention and deportation. Immigration is a hyper-local issue. There are things that you can do at the local level, like data protection, workforce protection and inclusion, legal and resettlement services, even ESL classes being taught through your community education. The policy is federal, but the consequences are felt locally. Cities and towns across Minnesota must be having conversations about protecting immigrant families. This resolution is a starting place for what needs to be a much more comprehensive strategy. The reality is that our immigrant community is not a monolith, which is why I'm so proud to stand with the Immigrant Defense Network. This This work happening on the ground needs to be a model for what can happen at the federal level. And regardless of who is in power, we need solutions that further protect due process and our constitutional rights and keep families together.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I'd just like to take a moment to echo everything that's been said so far. I'm here from the city of Columbia Heights. My name is Laurel Denia. I'm a council member representing our city. And I've just come here to proudly stand with COPAL and thank them for drafting a resolution that supports all of our residents. With a city of our city speaks over 30 languages with only a population of 22,000 people. So we obviously celebrate our diverse cultures that make up the community. As ICE and the Trump administration escalate arrests of U.S. citizens, asylum seekers, and immigrants, regardless of their deep roots in our neighborhoods, we stand in solidarity with those unfairly targeted by policies that do not reflect our values. The Trump administration has called for the largest mass deportation program in U.S. history, seeking to separate 3,000 families per day. These policies force families to live in fear of separation and detainment without the due process guaranteed to them by law. As Minnesotans, we know the success of Minnesota's present and future is intrinsically linked to Minnesota's immigrant communities. And furthermore, we firmly believe that Columbia Heights is stronger and better for our immigrant neighbors. Thank you.
I'll now pass it to some of our key champions in organizing for this effort, who have been doing amazing work through the Immigrant Defense Network. And first is Zainab Jama from Ayada Leads.
Thank you guys. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zainab, and I'm with Ayada Leads, a nonprofit organization committed to supporting the African diaspora and immigrant communities here in the state of Minnesota. Today, I'm speaking not just as an advocate, but as a daughter of immigrant, as someone who understands firsthand that immigration is not just a law or borders, but it's about people. It's about families seeking safety, belongings, and simple right to live here with dignity. Right now, many people in our communities are facing the circumstances that challenge their sense of dignity. Families that are navigating the separation, individuals that are seeking safety are met with uncertainty, and some feel invisible and unheard. But let us be clear, every person has a value, every person deserves to have met with compassion and respect without needing to prove their worth. Here at Ayada Leads, we're focusing on restoring that sense of worth by creating a pathway for immigrants and communities of color to lead, to shape their future and tell their stories and take up spaces where decisions are being made. Because dignity isn't just something we ask for, it's something that we affirm by standing tall in who we are. We also recognize that true dignity includes telling the truth. We stand on a land that was taken from indigenous people. Honoring the truth is part of honoring our shared humanity. We cannot just build a future without acknowledging the pain of the past and the resilience of those who endured it. This is more than about one community. When dignity of one group is violated, it threatens the well-being of all. Your neighbor's safety, your friend's freedom, your coworker's right to exist fully, it all matters. Because dignity is not selective, it belongs to all of us. Ayada Leads, we will continue to organize, to uplift, and defend the inherent worth of everyone's person. But we need each other. We need people that are willing to show up, willing to speak up with passion, and act with courage. Because when we honor one another's dignity, we don't just fight for justice, we create the kind of world where everyone is free to belong. Thank you guys.
Hi everyone, my name is Kevin. I'm with Minnesota 8. I'm here as a child of immigrants, of refugees, and a Vietnamese person of the Southeast Asian diaspora. Growing up, I heard stories of how my dad left everything in pursuit of a better life away from war and violence. Escaping by boat with the uncertainty of where it will take him, he spent days at seas, months at refugee camps, and years away from his family members. Immigrants are a vital part of Minnesota's tapestry. Immigrants have created beautiful and thriving communities, adding to the diversity and vibrancy of Minnesota's ecosystems, including our businesses, schools, and neighborhoods. Minnesota has a history of refugee resettlement that upholds our state's values and continues to make our state welcoming. Unfortunately, the current landscape is far from welcoming. Many people may be shocked, but the truth is ICE is currently detaining about 59,000 people in facilities across the United States, and 8 people have died in detention just this year. People have gone to work and not returned home because they were detained by ICE, leaving children worried about their parents' whereabouts. In May, there was a national flight of 158 people deported to Laos and Vietnam. Being that Minnesota is home to one of the largest Southeast Asian refugee populations in the US, our local communities have also been impacted. In June, there was at least 15 Hmong people detained in Minnesota. Their wives, moms, and children have shared stories of heartbreak, yearning for their loved ones to come back home. Lastly, we are seeing people deported to third countries that are different from their ethnic background, adding to the fears of family. Not only is this unjust, but inhumane. For refugees, deportations are a cruel form of double punishment in an endless cycle of displacement. Many of us can agree that family comes first. But today, this administration is funding ICE to forcibly separate mothers from children, husbands from wives, and siblings from each other. Recently, Minnesota Aid worked with a newly engaged Vietnamese couple who just moved to the Midwest. The soon-to-be husband went to go get his driver's license renewed in a new state, but ended up being detained at the DMV and later deported to Vietnam. At a time where the wife or soon-to-be wife should have been celebrating her engagement, it turned into a nightmare. She was separated from her fiance and was left abandoned all alone in a new state without families or friends. ICE is ripping apart our families, taking away dreams and our futures, and forcing families to live in fear and darkness. This is beyond traumatizing and inhumane. We have to understand that anything that tears our families threatens our communities as a whole, and we must not forget that detention and deportation are violent. We are here today to affirm our family values, center the humanity of all people, and support the city resolutions to call on this administration to end its campaign on mass deportation and family separations. Minnesota must protect its people. When the federal government is attacking our dignity and our rights, it is up to local cities to set the record on justice and dignity. Let us continue to build Minnesota together, defend immigrant rights, and stand with all of our families.
We have one more speaker, which is Rebecca Larson, representing Indivisible.
Thank you for inviting me. My name is Rebecca Larson, and I represent Indivisible Twin Cities, which is a local chapter of the National Indivisible Movement, which is resisting the Trump regime. We stand here today in support of cities, including Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Columbia Heights, that are demanding that the Trump administration end its campaign of mass deportations and family separations. Our cities should be places where all people feel safe and have the opportunity to live, work, learn, and play in peace. This country was built on the experiences, cultural contributions, and sweat equity of immigrants, enslaved Black Americans, and Indigenous peoples. Attempting to erase those contributions and that reality through cruel policy is inhumane, harmful, and morally reprehensible. Our Constitution guarantees fundamental rights and liberties essential to human dignity, and it collectively expresses our society's recognition that all individuals have inherent worth and value. Not only is mass deportation inhumane and anti-family, but also it is bad for our country. It makes our communities less safe when residents fear local law enforcement cooperating with federal immigration enforcement. It wreaks havoc on our economy and our social fabric when deportations lead to significant labor shortages in key industries such as agriculture, construction, and hospitality. It strains city budgets when enforcing federal immigration laws requires local resources and diverts funding from other pressing community needs. And it creates emotional trauma and extreme hardship when deportation separates families, including tearing U.S. citizen children from their immigrant parents. Indivisible Twin Cities stands in alliance with all cities as they pass these resolutions, and we commend their efforts to put an end to the demonization and dehumanization of our immigrant families, friends, and neighbors. Thank you.
We actually have one more speaker that came through, which is Sara Silva, who is with CAPA USA and plays a leading role in the North Star Alliance.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sara Morales Silva, and I stand before you today as a DACA recipient and a proud representative of CAPA USA and as well as the North Star Alliance, who is an alliance rooted in safety, trust, and respect for all Minnesotans. We are here to protect immigrant communities, advance state-level legislation, and secure a future for all Minnesotans, regardless of immigration status. I myself have been here for about 30 years, and if I could have came the right way, I would have. So it's not as easy as people state it to be. Our immigration system is broken and needs huge immigration reform overall. The resolution we are advocating for today is not only necessary, it is highly urgent. We have witnessed firsthand of unfair, aggressive, and punitive federal immigration enforcement here in the States and as well as everywhere around the nation. These actions disrupt families, as many as you have heard, they disrupt families. They erode the moral foundation of our society and devastates our local economy and threatens the safety and trust and respect that we deserve here in Minnesota. As someone who has lived in the shadows of the system, I can tell you it comes with costs. It is not free to live here for us. We do pay taxes, and it is very, very unstable and scary every single day. With that being said, this resolution is a reflection of our shared values with Minnesotans, and it stands against cruelty and stands for humanity. It says we will not let our state be a pipeline of fear, and that is something that we truly believe. We will protect the families who call Minnesota home, and we will honor the work of our culture and dreams that immigrants carry and bring with them. They come from every state, every nation, and it is important that we help them feel at home here, tomorrow, yesterday, and going forward. I thank you so much for your time, and again, Minnesota stands for safety, trust, and respect, and I thank every single person behind you that is here, behind us, that is here, advocating for the right thing. And again, I'm here as a DACA recipient, and I promise you, the journey is just starting for many of us. And thank you for all of those who have helped and protected me along the way.
That will have just a few minutes if there's any questions. Yes.
Yeah, what do you hope having this statement, resolution, what do you hope what kind of impact will it have, do you think?
Yeah. There are a lot of city councils right now in towns that are afraid to even start the conversation on immigration. We know resolutions are symbolic statements. This is a really important conversation starter. But as Councilmember Chavez, I think said, it's just a small step, but a lot more needs to happen. So we think this is a really important way to build relationships with cities and have deeper conversations about what they're doing all across their ladder of engagement with their city to protect immigrants. Thank you.
Is this resolution being introduced to the three cities, or has been, or is it going to be? Can anyone speak to that?
Yeah, I'm the lead sponsor right now. We're garnering support with our colleagues. We have a goal timeline of introducing it to the St. Paul City Council in early August.
And on the City Council, the first vote is tomorrow, 1:30 p.m., Committee of the Whole, 13-member body, and if it passes, which I hope is that it is, it moves to the full council on Thursday for a final vote.
Columbia Heights will be taking this up on next Monday, and it is on our agenda, and we do expect it to pass.
So this is our first wave of resolutions, but we know, again, it's a conversation starter, and we have city council members across the state reaching out to us right now.
Do we have other metropolitan areas to look to help us move forward with this, that have been passing resolutions and building on it?
Yeah, it's a good question. The question is, if there are other metros or other places across the country that we can look to as an example. My answer is that we're setting the example. And my answer is that next week, we'll be presenting to a national network, Alianza Americas, about this resolution language and encouraging them to push this language across the country. So we're setting the example. A lot of our organizations are part of national movements as well. And we can show Minnesota can be really a North Star state for protecting immigrant rights.
All right.
I do want to add one part. I think when our cities pass this, I think since the media is here, one important question to ask is, we are directing this to our federal delegation, right? Our U.S. senators, our Congress people, asking them their position when these resolutions pass. It's really important to get the full picture because we are asking for action from the federal government. So I just wanted to add that context.
Maybe a last remark, a question? Okay. All right, thank you all.